heading into Atlanta, I think one of the most popular decks going into it is going to be Gholdengo. Um, Unfortunately for this video, I don't have the usual like props. We're just gonna put some cards on their back, and then we're gonna say that these are Gholdengo cards. Um, so it proved itself as one of the best decks in the last format at the tail end of the Prismatic Evolutions format. It definitely proved itself to be one of the most important decks to look out for. So I think nothing about that is really going to change going into this. Yes, it's lost Radiant Greninja, it's lost Pokestop, it's lost a lot of these really good cards, but it also gained some. I think most importantly, Lavencia has become very important for that deck's recursion when it comes to something like getting Badoo locked at the end of the game. But I just think generally, Gholdengo, really good deck going into the weekend. In fact, tonight at Locals, I played against it 3 times, and it's a hard matchup. So, let's talk about it. First of all, this is the most important card in the matchup. Like, obviously, but it's the most important card ever in a matchup. But secretly, I actually mean this card is the most important card of the matchup. So, obviously, Backdraft looks like it was made to beat exactly Gholdengo. It is off a fire type and does 30 more for each basic energy in your opponent's discard. So it makes perfect sense why this would be the ultimate answer to Gholdengo. And it works very well in the matchup. It comes down to a lot of the opening plays where even you would want to bait your opponent into knocking out the Terapagos. After you Evo TM up into Zoroark Darmanitan, you leave the Terapagos in the active slot. You say either knock this out or it's going to be able to crack back for a decent amount of damage in the matchup, but not enough that it really matters. If they go 5 to knock this out, that sets up perfectly for Darmanitan to come in. Now Darmanitan is going to be the most important card in this matchup. Backdraft is obviously important, and Flame Body Cannon to hit Gimme Goals is also very important. So Reversal Energy is enough to power up Backdraft, but even going PP up E-Switch to it is enough. Like, you're perfectly fine having to go PP up into attach to a Darm, attach again, or E-Switch off of something else to be able to power up just to be able to use the ever-present Backdraft, which is something that the Gholdengo will start having to play around, and then you can metagame them about that. Like in situations where they will go gust something else up, like say gust up Zoroark, swing into it for knockout. But if they do that and they ignore the Darm, they know they're going to have to answer the Darm on the crackback. So maybe instead they're going to have to knock out the Darm or like a Zorua and have to discard less energies to play less into the Darmanitan. Sometimes they'll even have to take unfortunate or unfavorable superiors just to retain some energy in hand so that the Backdraft isn't doing just enough damage to knock out. That can come up for a few knockouts in the deck, like Fez, I think. No, not Fez. Like Pecharunt. Pecharunt needs 4 to get knocked out, but if they have the 5th one there, then Darmanitan can come back and knock out. So they're going to have to not have all 5 in discard. So knowing the Backdraft numbers is very important. Also knowing when Zoroark will knock out a Backdraft is important. This knocks out at 5. Zoroark will knock out at 7. No, not 7. 9. So Zoroark is not often knocking out. Zoroark is mainly here to be the draw engine and to be Flame Body Cannon. Because Gholdengo is a one-shot deck, Reshiram will never really come up. Like, I don't think you could ever really find a way in which Reshiram is anywhere near useful in the matchup except to just sit in the active and sponge a hit. I mean, it takes 3 to knock out, so it's all it's really there for. Luxray kind of fulfills its normal role, except the reversals are so much more strained in this matchup because of how much you want to be using the Darmanitan that you may not even ever find yourself wanting to use the Luxray to knock out the Pheasantipede or to pick something off just because you want it to be on the Darmanitan. You can maybe go for a Night Joker copied Flame Body Cannon to put 90 on, so then a Luxray can come down, reversal, knockout, swing for game or something. Like, those can be switched situations, but they're not going to come up as often as say Luxray and Terrabox, where it's such a good card, or Luxray and some other matchups. Like, so it's just not super useful. There was a short period of time where we played one Darmanitan in the deck, and then I played this matchup, and then we said this deck needs two Darmanitan versus exactly Gholdengo. You may even have a situation where you just set up two Darmakas on bench, and you Evo TM both of them up, because getting Darmanitan is that important. If the Darmanitan gets knocked out, you are in a rough spot. If you just have the two on the board, then if they get a knockout on the Terrapagos or the Zoroark or something like a Fez, the Darmanitan is going to be able to crack back, even off of just PP up E-Switch. So this card is the matchup. Like, there isn't a lot to it. Darmanitan just attack reversal, swing in is a very viable strategy for the matchup. And if they gust around it, they're gonna still have to chew through this at some point. Especially because you are a deck that loves to slam an Iono down. So obviously by matching Ionos in their face, you're going to be able to hit them at some point and stick them on a bad hand where they're not going to be able to gust around the Darmanitan, which you would like for tapping, because the other pretty good attacker in this matchup, I don't know why he's not here, he's Petron. Petron will be able to get to climb up to 300 in this matchup if they not, because normally you're going to have to navigate through the Darmanitan, not around it. And even with the Defiance Band, it'll be able to swing for knockout on 4 prizes, being able to go for 270, which, important. Petron always has some very good numbers, especially in this matchup. It's just kind of hard to set up. That's all. But yeah, the Darmanitan is so much of this matchup. You gotta play 2 pretty specifically for this matchup, especially expecting so much going into the weekend. Another way to finish a lot of games off, if your opponent is playing the Dengo Dudunsparce version, I personally don't think it's very good, but hey, if that's what they're going to play, being able to Night Joker copy Flame Body Cannon and knock out just the bigger body than the Darmanitan, it's important for late game situations where maybe they needed to go up into Dudunsparce to be able to find the piece for the knockout. But also knowing the Dengo, they always just find it somehow. That's my complaint about Dengo. The last semi-important attacker for the matchup is Clefairy. You are able to hit 260 pretty easily. It's just area 0, full bench. I think a total of 14 on bench? No, that's not right. 12 on bench. 12 on bench will knock out, or 12 or 11 with a Defiance Band. Clefairy's not great. It's able to get crackbacked really easily with, of course, that metal weakness. Being able to just do discard 2 energies to knock out the Clefairy makes it really weak in early game scenarios. But if you're able to make this immediately able to trade up for a Gholdengo, then you can definitely make it work in the matchup. But it's much better as either just the late game bomb to win the game, or not being benched at all because it's a big liability. It is an attacker that does not turn on the numbers for exactly Darmanitan, which is a massive problem because, again, Darmanitan has to be on pretty much the entire time throughout the game. The other big part about this matchup, I mean, it does just come down to, do you resolve your trolley correctly? Your trolley is probably going to have to grab out something along the lines of, and this is with a shortened bench, Darumaka, Fez, Zorua, Terrapagos. If this is a completely reasonable board to set up. You can even, if you've got another Ball Search in the hand, you could port the Fez out for another Zorua. Depending on what's in the active, you may not need the Trap Ghost, but having the backup is always good to open up the bench. But the double Darumaka is very important. Yes, they can no longer go Moonlight Shuriken, knock out both, because why was the deck ever able to do that? But being able to maintain both Darumakas that are able to go right up into Darmanitans, immediately threaten the board, is super important. Gholdengo discarding cards is so stressful. The matchup is stressful, but because of the double Darmanitan, I would say it is about a 45-55 in their favor. They will always have some favor into an Iono deck because of how powerful their draw engine is. But if you're able to go for a route going through a Dango, through like maybe two Dangos and the Pheasantipity, or two Dangos and then you go Night Joker, copy Flame Body Cannon, knock out Monkey Dory, knock out Gimme Ghoul, or knock out a Dunsparce. Those matchups will definitely swing in your favor in those ways. If your opponent isn't playing super confidently into it, isn't sure what they're supposed to be knocking out, you'll definitely, and they're able to keep you're able to keep a lot of pressure on the board. You should be in a very good position. Being able to keep a chain of Darmanitans, so using your two recovery options very, very wisely, having to rod back in Darumaka, Darmanitan, you really can't afford to play super liberally with them in the matchup. You have to play conservative with them, unfortunately, because, again, Darmanitan, Darumaka, so important to win the game. If one of them happens to be prized, you're going to be in for a harder game. But no, it's not impossible. You still have a lot of your good options. You still have your Luxury Defiance to knock out the Pheasantipity that always comes down. You have Clefairy, like I said, which can take a knockout in a pinch case scenario. So you're not out if you don't have the Darmanitans, but you're definitely going to be in for an uphill climb of a matchup. That is my take on the matchup. That is how I think it will usually go down. If there is something else I would have to mention, I wouldn't know. It really is just this. It's just this guy. Darmanitan matters so much, and you gotta use him correctly. You gotta know when to reversal, when to PP up. Just getting to the backdraft as often and as early as possible is always going to be the play. And that's pretty much all I've got to say about the matchup. Thank you for listening. I hope it works out well. And have a good day.